Ah, somebody's there. Stevie boy. Iron Brew. There's a wee... That's for Chris Glendinning, by the way. Chris, done that for you, but I need to get it to you. Actually done it ages ago, forgot about it. Hope everyone's well. Hope you're all well, guys. I'm going to just cover different subjects every couple of nights. I'm going to talk a little bit about a personal case that I've had going on. So, round about the beginning of 2018, I had an issue with a police officer, a serving officer, and he took it under his... He acted out with his professional remit, and he did something on my behalf to derail me, involving my driving licence, my clean licence. How you doing, Maverick? So, how you doing, Frankie? So things developed and things started to happen that were bizarre, okay? I was getting stopped regularly by Police Scotland. And it turns out that this officer had written to the Vehicle Driving Standards Agency in Wales, the DVLA, and told them that I was diabetic. This was an assumption he came to because he found an EpiPen in a vehicle of mine. So he came to that assumption, apparently. And it had a massive effect in my life, okay? Massive effect in my life financially. So we're 5 years down the line, and only now is it coming to an end. And I had confirmation today that some things about that case have been removed from my criminal history, and rightfully so. Now, you get a document called an ACRO, comes for the Criminal Records Office UK, and it's your criminal history. And then there's another database, which is a localised criminal history. But the ACRO supersedes a lot of things, in my opinion, like enhanced DBSs and stuff. It shows NFAs as well, so if you've got a pattern of behaviour, for instance, say you've been questioned for 3 things similar, but it's been NFA'd at court, it will still be recorded there, which is very handy in relationships and stuff with, you know, violent offenders and sexual offenders, stuff like that, which I'm obviously none of. So I wrote to the ACRO office and I asked for these things, I asked for proof that these things were removed from my record because they were fraudulent, and the court proceedings had proved that they were fraudulent, so I wanted proof because I trust nobody and I don't trust any authority at all, and I've now been proved right, and I'm going to explain why I pursued it. All good, Scopes, thanks for asking me. I pursued it because of the context of what they had tried to put on my criminal record. It may seem like small potatoes, but it's the principle. So I pursued it, and I wrote a articulate email, respectful email, and the officers at the receiving end, all credit to them, were highly respectful in return. They were also very helpful, which I am not used to. They were very, very helpful, and I wrote them an email thanking them as a result for this, because maybe they were just doing their job, but I thought they went that little bit further. So these fraudulent charges, which amounted to like 4, almost 5 different charges, but all relating to the same type of offence, were all thrown out of court. No cases to answer, okay? No case to answer whatsoever. And when at Christmas time there, I had the police stopped me again and questioned me in regards to another offence. And basically, they told me today that on the phone call that has also, now there will be no proceedings for that either, okay? Which, yet again, is absolutely the correct outcome. It was a really random one in regards to a vehicle that was recorded as stolen and it had been used in a crime some years ago, and apparently, you know, at one point it had been in my possession, something like that. To do with a fingerprint, you know. And I spoke to the police about it, which normally I wouldn't, because I don't trust them. You would normally go, quote, no comment, and I said, well, no, you know, this definitely rings no bells with me, so I'll happily speak to you about this, and I'll tell you that you're barking right up the wrong tree. So I've learned how to defend myself correctly over the years, and the outcome is that it's been binned. But they didn't tell me that. My homework and my investigative techniques have got me that information by pursuing it. So they've not got in touch with me and said, by the way, met you in Go Outdoors a couple of weeks ago. How you doing, bro? Good to hear from you. I hope you're well, mate. I remember it well. And I enjoyed your company, enjoyed the chat with you. Thanks for checking in. So I had basically, I've pursued this information, and now I've found out that all of these cases that Police Scotland had against me, which I spoke to the young guy in the chat about, funnily enough, have all been thrown out, no case to answer. But let me explain something. For 5 years, this has been a cloud over me. It's cost me a great deal financially. It's cost me a lot of mental burden as well. You know, it's been torturous because it's hindered my life severely. Now, the officer that pursued me is no longer serving. Kevin Brainbridge, how you doing, bud? He is now out of the police 2 years ago. Kicked out of the police. Left of his own accord, who knows. I believe he was discharged from the police. And while I was in court a couple of weeks ago, that was the way it was relayed to us during my court case, which had a line put through it. No case to answer, Mr. Kearney. After 5 years and a lot of money, no case to answer. Now the system, I've monetised the system because I've paid lawyers and everything else, loss of earnings. I've got no recourse to compensation, and I've not committed a crime. So my life's been derailed for 5 years. I don't share this with you guys, okay? I don't share it with the public. It's not, I've touched on it, that's all I've done. It will go in my book properly, word for word, the whole thing. That officer is now gone. He's no longer a police officer. And all of those cases have been put to bed. But I now need to start a civil proceeding to be compensated, because during it all, Police Scotland seized a van from me full of my work tools, while I was renovating a flat in the south side of Glasgow, and that van was taken into police custody into a compound in Glasgow where it was signed out by an unknown person days later and vanished with my tools in it. And a lot of other personal effects gone forever. I've never even had a resolution on that incident from Police Scotland. Nothing at all. I've been offered no compensation package, nothing to replace my lost tools. So I've still got ongoing business with them, which I have to get. You have to account for where that van went. You have to account for where my tools are. You know, you're talking about the guts of 10 grand's worth of tools here, all gone. Half a dozen chainsaws, pencil climbing gear, tree surgery, arborist equipment, all the best of kit. I didn't ever scrimp in kit, all gone. Now, I'm expected not to whinge and not to complain. Will I just accept that? No, I don't think so. So anyway, all the cases are gone. They no longer exist. The only case I have outstanding is the one where we caught someone doing something he shouldn't have been doing and he's countercharged us. That's it. That's the only case left. All the other cases and all of those court appearances during lockdown and all of those warrants issued for my arrest for apparently missing court dates when I was right there in the building the whole time, you don't even get an apology from it. The system is utterly despicable. It is set up to dehumanise you, okay? And I'm going to go one further than that. I'm in control. I'm in control of my mind at this moment. See, if I was weaker or I had a dependency on alcohol or anything, I would become a criminal. That system is designed to turn men into criminals. It is designed to dehumanise you to the point where you no longer care because you've got nothing else to lose. You therefore keep committing crime, and then you keep them all in a job, and you keep the system monetised by default because you continually commit crime. You go into those court buildings, it's the same names in the court rolls every month of the year. Young guys up for a load of crap, load of nonsense. Time and time and time again. Breach of the peace. What even is a breach of the peace? The police can decide that you breached the peace. No one even has to phone it in. It's ridiculous. Resisting arrest. What is that? Not wanting to have your hands folded up your back. I can't. My arms don't meet. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries, so mine don't physically meet. So I get cuffed to the front anytime I get cuffed. And I'm respectful and I say, cuff me to the front. If you look, you'll see surgeries, whatever. It's on my file. Don't cuff me at the back, both my arms will dislocate, and then I'm going to be extremely angry, at which point, because my arms are out of service, I'll have to use my teeth to defend myself. That's the predicament that they put you in, okay? And it's all designed to get a response from you, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. So, I've now got the email. I've now got it from the ACRO office, the Criminal Records Office, that, you know, it's all been put to bed and I can get on with my life and all is forgiven. Well, that's not going to quite cut it, because my losses over the past 5 years have been astronomical. No one knows. Only I know. Only I know truly what that fraudulent officer's cost me, and I can verify it in full capacity, and I can have that documented. So I've now to get on with my life, but the problem is, people will say you can't beat the system. Well, that's actually untrue. You can expose the system, and by default you can beat the system because you can actually show it for what it is. And what it is a system of deception, and it's a system of fraud. It's designed to demonetise the public because it keeps a certain demographic of people in the public stroke private legal domain. It keeps them in extremely high revenues. Guys, I'm just ahead of the curve. I've woke up a long time ago, and I see it, I see through it, I see it for what it is. I'm not trying to make rebels out of the population, I'm not trying to create a revolution, I'm trying to educate people, I'm trying to educate people that you have rights and that you need to understand how to fight for your rights. This is about what's right and wrong. You cannot let a system monetize you criminally when it's unjustified. That you can't allow that to happen to yourself. So we must share the information. It's imperative that we share this information and that people get educated as to their actual rights, not the fabricated falsity that is presented to you at time of arrest or anything else, okay? Always remember, you have the right to remain silent. It's the very first thing they tell you. Take that advice. It is imperative. Give your name and your date of birth and your address, and give nothing else. Nothing else. No comment. Don't speak a single word to them. Be respectful. As Scopes is saying, request a solicitor or a volunteer solicitor or anybody that, and don't say nothing. The right to remain silent. It doesn't matter what the charge is. Say nothing. The minute you start to speak, you provide evidence. And believe me, there are devious coppers out there that will deliberately trip you up and corner you and force you to literally criminalise yourself, So avoid it at all costs, and I hope none of you are ever in the situations that I've found myself in. But I was deliberately targeted by an officer, and I believe he was sent to come after me. I believe he was sent to come in me. And I believe that had I been any lesser in my capacity for weathering the storm and, coming through a rough ride, then I believe I would have folded. And they wanted me to fold and accept a plea deal and accept guilt. I got offered it 2 days prior to my trial. If you go not guilty on this and this, we'll drop that and that. And then I said, why would I admit to something that I've never done? Are you stupid? Do I have clown written on my forehead? I don't think so. So I didn't. And my lawyer was like, good on you. Good on you for standing your ground. And I says, you're damn right I'm standing my ground. I'm not going to back down for a fight in the pavement. I'm certainly not going to back down from a fight in a controlled environment like this, where they think all the chips are stacked in their favour. So I stood my ground and I won. I won. It's as simple as that. And I won because it was right. It was right that I won. So I'm going to take something away from it, and I'm going to give myself a tiny little bit of applause or acknowledgement for standing my ground and seeing it through to the end. 5 years, guys, is a long time to be under the cosh. To be in the spotlight and have the weight and the burden of law on top of you all the time, trying to crush your spirit. And I've realised the depth of my spirit as a result of that. I've realised the capacity of my inner self. So I stood my ground and I saw it through to the very end. And I'm glad that I did. Because I can look myself in the mirror and I know that I done the right thing. And that I exposed the system and that I defeated the system this time round. I defeated what they were trying to do to me, which was to defraud me and deceive me and criminalise me. And I said, no chance, it's not happening. I would rather go out in my gum shield, face down in the ground, than take a backward step from anybody that is trying to frame me and make me a, you know, a statistic and a part of their deception and a part of their fraud. No way in the world. So it's really important that you always stand up for yourself in life. Now I am writing a book, and this is going to be a couple of chapters in that book, and I will elaborate way deeper than I have now, and I'll show the true extent of going against the system, and I'll show you and I'll verify it in my full capacity. I'll show you proof of what the system's trying to do to me. You hear stories about people being silenced, and sometimes I take them with a pinch of salt, but I've spoken at length with, you know, various people in the UK, one being Tommy Robinson, and what he's been through is not justified in regards to what the media have portrayed him as. He brought a lot of stuff in himself early on in his life, he absolutely did, and I do not agree with a lot of his past exploits. But what they've done to that man of late is not and cannot in any walk of life be justified. It just can't. And I think I'm a pretty fair judge of character. I think I'm pretty, you know, reasonable with people. Somebody's writing, Georgina's writing Kate Hopkins. Absolutely, Georgina. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable what that woman went through. They took her house from her. Regardless of her wealth, she's a single mother with kids, and they basically steamrolled her and bankrolled her. Absolute corporate bullies. Why? Because she told the truth. Katie Hopkins was despised. She was universally despised like Robinson. It's funny that the tables are turning. The tables are turning, and people are jumping on the back, they're jumping on the ride with them now. They're getting on board with what they're now saying. Tommy's matured. Tommy's presenting himself in a much better light. He's much more articulate. He's much more level-headed. He's came a long way. But all people want to do is remind him of his past. All he was doing in his past was finding his feet. He was finding his place in the food chain. And that's the bottom line of it. The fact is, Katie Hopkins was universally despised. Now she's universally acclaimed. I've always been a fan. I think she's fantastic. Calls a spade and calls it out for what it is. And yet, she's going to ruffle feathers. Like the Andrew Tates of the world, like the Russell Brands of the world. And I'm not putting myself anywhere near in the same pedestal as these people. I am not. I'm not interested in fame. I'm interested in what's right, and I'm interested in if somebody can't speak for themselves and I can speak for them, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that on. Because not everybody's got confidence or articulation. Not everyone can put it together. And I know that I can speak well, and I know that I can hold my own, and I know more importantly than that I don't get fazed by whoever I'm presented with. A big audience sticking a light in my face or a camera, that's not going to derail me. It's just not going to work. Because I know what it is. I understand what it is. It's all about fear. It's about trying to intimidate you and throw you off balance so that you'll get tongue-tied and tongue-twisted. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work with me. That ship sailed long ago. I've overcame fear. Fear is just a word. It's just a word. 4 letters. That's it. It's irrelevant. All it is a release of endorphins. Understand that and you'll understand everything. Everything that life's going to throw at you. Honestly, it's a gimmick, guys. Don't buy into it. So, moving forward, I'll be putting chapters together, and I'll be hopefully and I might self-publish a book, or I might ask a publisher to help me. you know, there is some publishers within the YouTube world, guys like, you know, Sean Atwood. I've had my disagreements with him, but you know that I wouldn't let that get in the way of assisting me, and you know it is what it is. I don't agree with everything that everybody does, but I'm never scared to call it out, so hopefully the respect will be mutual. I don't just like people's posts because they're popular and jump on the bandwagon. I don't agree with that. So Aaron Lambo. Aaron is extremely, he's very, very antagonistic, I've met Aaron, you know, I've spoke with Aaron, and he's a nightmare. He brings a hell of a lot of on himself, James, because he can't let bygones be bygones. But he's a self-made guy, and all they want to do is remind him of his criminal past. Now, if he's legit, and it appears to me that he is legit, well, leave him alone then. Let him go on with it. What's he doing? He manages a highly successful supplements company, and he enjoys his life. But because he's got nice things and he's a boy done good, it's frowned upon. And that's what I found a lot from where I was from. I had multiple businesses and I was an entrepreneur, and I had, you know, I had as much as anyone, and it was frowned upon. You suffer jealousy, you get the green-eyed monster, then the gossip starts and the finger wagging, and anybody that does good's a criminal, or anybody that does good's a gangster. I've heard all of that shit all of my life. So yeah, Aaron's involved with a chapter. He's a prospect in a chapter out in Marbella with the Hells Angels. It's up to him, isn't it? He just wanted to be part of something. I think he built them a clubhouse or something. So, as I say, it's up to him. It's his business, because he's a self-made guy, and he is wealthy. He is the height of nonsense as well. He's about 5'4", but you know what harm is he doing? Yeah, he's antagonistic to the police. I'm not, and never have been. I never have been. I don't troll the police. I'll stand my ground with the police because I'm not scared of a uniform. I wore a uniform. You know, it's like James is saying he's heard most of the gossip about me. Thankfully, James knows me on a personal level, and he knows I'm a decent guy. James, I've heard the gossip as well. I've heard some blinders about me. I'm a hitman. I'm a gun for hire. Mental, honestly. I just laugh, because I laugh now. I didn't always laugh. It used to wind me up, but now I'm like, crack on. Yeah, Georgina, he's about 5'4", in his heels. In fact, I've got a photograph on my phone with Aaron, down at one of the fight shows down south. One of the shows Dougie Joyce put on. Pandemonium. Dougie invited us down, some ringside tickets, so I accepted. I was down south anyway, so we went and seen the show. It was alright, to be fair. I enjoyed it, but look how all that's ended. They're all in the jail. Boys will be boys. He had black boots on in the photograph, and his leathers and stuff. He's cut from the Angels. He's a prospect, and he's built. He's solid. He's built like me. You know, he's bigger. He's got bigger arms, and he has a lump, but he's a tiny wee guy. Do you know what? It's a lot of these guys get a bad rap. Let me see. What's the comments? Silk man, Silk Mick, how you doing, mate? Aye, I hope I'm a good guy. I try and be a good guy anyway. I'm not perfect, but I'm not a bad guy. Big Marvin Herbert, he gets some rap as well. He was a mad hoodlum, but he's just, all he's trying to do is go on with his life, you know, and he's trying to promote a good message and all the rest of it. And a lot of these guys, I don't think we're all cut for the same cloth. I've certainly never been a high level criminal like Marvin and what he was involved in, but I don't think morally we're probably too different. And they get a bad rap, these guys, and they'll never ever get peace for the police. They'll never get peace, you know. I tell your mum I appreciate that, Georgina. I've been hounded by the police for years. And they'd come into my pub and stuff and they'd try it on with me and they'd try and wind me up, try and intimidate staff, stuff like that, and I wouldn't tolerate it. I'd be like, who do you think you are? You know, that uniform's not going to save you. Be nice, have some manners, be decent. You know, why you try to intimidate bar staff? Why would you do that? It's like, you know, are you that much of a small man that you have to intimidate female bar staff? I was never going to allow that to happen. So I would chase them and be like, "I get out, don't come back." Send somebody that's half decent. And you know, send somebody that's at least respectful. Because if we're going to be respectful, you have to return it. That's it. Thank you, Tony, I appreciate that. Do you know what I mean, guys? It's respect given and earned. And I've always been respectful because until they start showing their true hand, they get respect. They're in to do a job, we play ball with them, licensing checks, whatever. So it was a couple of times it occurred and I'd be like, stop a minute, I'd be like, what are you playing at, mate, this big guy? And he was like, I'll go wherever I want, I'll do whatever I want. I said, no, on my watch you won't. That's not happening. I says, I don't like your attitude. And we're working in here and it's, you know, we're working hard and it's extremely busy. Don't come in here and start intimidating young folk that are at private functions and pulling people up and checking folk out and thinking you're a ticket. I just like respect. I give it, I want it back. And a uniform shouldn't save anyone. We all have to account for ourselves, so, you know, be reasonable. I'm not a mug. I'm not going to back down from a uniform. I'm also not going to be scared from, you know, a guy in uniform, a police officer that's got a professional code of conduct that he needs to abide by, deliberately trying to bait me into rising to him. You know, I can be old school at the drop of a hat. I was like, mate, there's a big car park there. Going round the back door, there's a big car park if you want to play that game. I can turn the clock back. I roll my sleeves up, no problem. He's like that. What? I said, you heard. You're smart enough, you heard. I said, don't come back here again with this attitude. And I never seen him for a while, and then he came back again and he was all standoffish and stuff, and I thought to myself, he's had his wings clipped maybe, because the other cops were absolutely sound, they were brand new, decent. It was just a couple of times I said, they've definitely been sent here to poke me with a stick and try and wind me up. They'll get more than they bargained for, if they keep that up. But, you know, it comes to an end and it just leaves an awful sour taste in your mouth. And when this case has run all of this time and they think they've got you over a barrel and they think you're going to fold and accept it, and I was like, no chance. I then understood the level of the corruption, and my lawyers were brilliant. and I said, I'm seeing this through to death. I'm all in on this. And that's where you've got to be. You've got to have the courage of conviction. You need to stand on it and basically mobilise yourself and rally up. You know, you've got to ante up and accept that the going's going to get tough. They want you to put your hands up and admit fault, and then they can monetise you via fines, via everything else, you know. And I was like, I'm not playing with these rules. I'm not playing. So I never played. I stood my ground. And that's that, guys. So it's about learning to fight, it's about learning to stand up and get on it, and learn about the depth of yourself. Learn about the depth of yourself, and don't accept bullshit from anybody. If you're right, okay, and you've not done anything wrong, and you can verify that you've not done anything wrong, and you know in your heart that you're a decent person and that is a crock of shit, stand your ground and don't accept anything else. Don't accept anything less than having it thrown out. Stand your ground in life, guys, with everything. It is imperative that you learn how to do that. Don't go through life being a shadow of yourself and staying in the shadows and sitting in the corner and just being a nobody. Don't live like that. If you're a decent person, you don't deserve to live like that, so don't allow it. Not everything is worth the fight. That's a good way to put it. Not everything is worth the fight. I now try and pick my fights a lot more wisely. I have taken stuff on that perhaps wasn't always worth it, or I've taken fights on for the wrong people many times. I've ended fights for the wrong people. I've involved myself in fights for the wrong people because they've asked me to help them. Your phone would ring at midnight, 1 in the morning, you'd be in your bed, you'd go and help your mates outside a pub. Turns out they were just as guilty as the other party. Drunk guys, ego showing off, full of the dust, full of the drink, and before you know it, I'm up bailing them out. Absolute nonsense, it's stupidity. But it happens. Doesn't happen anymore, the phone doesn't ring that way anymore, and nor would I answer it. It's been a long time, you know. But at times in my life I did answer and I went. Madness, honestly, absolute madness. And you probably know deep down that if the shoe was on the other foot, no one would come. The only person ever turned up for me was me. I phoned myself when I needed backup. That's another story. I digress. So, that's been today's events. Emails and calls and results for sure. So I've got a couple of wee things to tie up. I sent some information away today, some other personal information, just to solidify the last of my case. And yeah, I'm quite happy with the direction it's going in. And I'll be starting again very soon to recoup my losses, my massive losses that I will eventually put in print. This will be an eye-opener, by the way. This will be an eye-opener for people about what authority can do to you with absolutely no grounds. And this is why I share stuff when people are truth speakers and they're talking out about like guys that are getting hammered from, you know, child maintenance payments and stuff, and they're ending their lives and stuff like that because they're basically bankrupting them and taking everything from them. The practice of that in the UK is out of control, and the power, the supposed power that these organisations have to destroy a man's life is utterly atrocious. It's disgusting, and none of it's lawful. None of it's lawful and none of it's valid. It's absolutely scandalous, you know. And this is guys that's tried hard to pay their dues and pay child maintenance and stuff, and it's never been enough, and they've bankrupted them, seized wages, got them into massive debt, and it's overwhelmed them and they've ended their lives. And there's no recourse, no one gets, you know, investigated for that. But some innocent guy loses his life over it. And that's apparently in the name of justice. Not in the world I live in, it isn't. Everything needs addressed. Every single part of this country's authoritative system, its judiciary, everything, it's all broken and it all needs addressing, all of it. And it will only be addressed and repaired when people stop accepting it and exposing it for what it is. It's fraudulent and it's unfit for purpose, and it's all about serving 1% of the population. If you need a tree that needs cut, Stevie, if I can help you, I'll help you, mate. I'm not a tree surgeon, but I do know the absolute, you know, the basics of tree surgery, and I have dabbled in it for probably more than 20 years, and I can climb and I can cut and I know what to do and I know what not to do. So, but I'm not a qualified tree surgeon, but I know what I'm doing. Yeah, as anti-democratic, it's dangerous what's going on with some of these systems and these authorities. I believe, Scobes, I believe that men are now regarded as that we're not needed in society, because we've been so misrepresented and marginalised to the point where it's almost as if we're an enemy. You get these idiotic feminists speaking that are clearly hate men, and that they're like, men should be, what was that I seen? Men should have a cut-off time where they should be, no men should be allowed out after 8 o'clock or something. I was like, really? Let's see what happens when our country gets invaded then, and you know, what are you going to do without men? Because regardless of what anybody says or thinks, men fight in wars and men spill blood. And that's the bottom line of it. That's what men are good at doing. Men are good at that. So when it comes to the defence of a country, you know, you need lines and lines of men, because men can be way more barbaric than women. And that's it. So that's good that you do that, Jason, and you share that advice and you share your experiences with them. I agree with you, Amy. You know, I'm all for strong women. Women are amazing at empowering themselves these days in so many ways, and the world just doesn't work without women. But be rational about it. You know, why would you shout for the complete curfew of men unless you're a nutcase? Don't be ridiculous. Don't be absolutely ridiculous, you know. Curfewing men. I'm not a danger to a woman, so you'll not be curfewing me. I'll not be staying in. I mean, I can't get my head around why anybody even gives these clowns a platform to speak on. They get them onto, do you know what they do? Talking about antagonism, they get them onto daytime television programmes. I don't think, Daz, that men truly hold the same grit that they did. I think some men do. I think I do. I think I could name a few men that do, guys I served with, also some civilians that I know would turn up. It's not all military men I'm talking about, but I don't think in general men have got the discipline to dig deep and look for grit within themselves. I think you have to be tested every so often to know if you're capable of true grit. And you know, if my back's to the wall and there is no other way, then I know what the result will be. I know where I'll go. I know where I'll go within myself in order to get where I have to be. You know. But I can only speak for me. It's hard to speak for men in general, you know. That would be me just generalising, and I don't think that would be a justified, you know, statement. But there are a few old war dogs out there. Your man, Gaz Carroll, the Tasman for last night. There's his slate there. I'd phone him because I know he'd turn up. He was a mercenary, he's done it all. Hardcore. And there's guys like him up and down the coast, the east coast, you know, Arbroath, all these old towns. There's plenty of old soldiers out there that would turn up, should be required, and I'm starting to put myself into that age bracket as well. How you doing, Kyle? I hope you're well, mate. And aye, I know that we would turn up, but I really do hope that that it's never put to the test, because we might get disappointed. We might get very disappointed when there's a few no-shows, a few sick bay rangers letting the side down. Aye. In another life, aye, the Tasman, some boy. Aye, that's the catch, isn't it? It's like, you know, what is becoming a man? Life with VGT is asking why Charlie Fleeting's comments are getting removed. Is that because, so last night, VGT, we had the freak back in the comments trolling our friend Charlie. Let me just check. That must mean David Milnes, and David's deleting his comments, my admin. I maybe actually need another couple of admins in my chat to watch out for this clown. I'm just scrutinising the comments, guys. Can't see anything. 2 seconds. Are you in the chat, David? So, is the real Charlie in the chat? Is that you saying the real Charlie's in the chat? Taz Carroll, aye, some man, and he's cracks me up. He's a funny guy. Right, so the real Charlie is in the chat. Right, I'll speak to David Milne and we'll get that sorted. Right, Stevie Boy Billings, I've just made you a moderator. Thanks. Life with VGT, thanks Victoria. And we're watching out for a guy that comes in as Charlie Fleeting guys, right? And he's getting good at it. And he's sometimes making us think, right, there's Stevie, an admin. Welcome to the channel, Stevie, thanks mate. I know Stevie's brother. So, this guy's portraying to be Charlie Fleeting, who's our friend, right? And basically, well done Gregor, good man. He's trolling Charlie. Charlie lost his son. Charlie's an ex-serviceman, gentleman, comes up and sees us out and about, with Charlie out and about, and he trolls him in this channel, okay? So, he's a clown, and if you're in this channel and see one day when I identify you, I'm going to splatter you on behalf of Charlie, who's older and a gentleman and doesn't need to raise his hands. I'm younger and I still know how to raise mine, so I'm going to raise mine with you, because I will identify you one day. You'll slip up, buddy, and I'll splatter you. That's a promise. That's not a threat. Anyway, that's enough. That's the only time we'll give this clown. So aye, Stevie, I'll chat with you and I'll let you know what to look out for. But that was well spotted, because I haven't been like watching all the comments. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get to the bottom of it. I'll message Charlie when I get off, and me and Charlie will make up a code word, guys, okay? And I'll let the admins know. When Charlie's commenting, he'll let me know or something with a wee code word. We'll work something out anyway, because I don't want to block Charlie from my channel, because Charlie's my mate. Charlie's a good man. Well, that was just a wee quick live, and it's dragged on for nearly an hour. I was just gibbering. Again, thanks for listening, guys. YouTube's still jumping on it, and they're like turning off the... Not that it makes any money, it doesn't, but they turn it off so you can't make anything. And I look, and I turn it on and they turn it off. It's like a game. So I don't get it. I'm like, what is it that I'm saying that's so bad that I'm not allowed to make, 50 pence a video? I don't even think I make 50 pence a video. I probably make 10 pence a video. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that is what it is. That's YouTube. That's this world we live in, guys, the woke world. We're dotted all over the UK, and we're all here having a wee chat. What harm are we doing? What harm are we doing? We're not doing any harm. So, all you guys in Scotland, thank you. England, I've got people in Wales, I've got Cornwall, I've got Northern Ireland, Big Scobes, I've got people from all over the UK. I really appreciate it, and thanks for listening to me and putting up with me. Alright? I'm going to go and get on the phone and message wee Charlie. Night night, guys. Thanks very much. Stay steady, striving.